Welcome all to join today's tutorial session of Open Science and Research Data Management Core Principles and Best Practices, jointly organized by CONVERGE and SLICES-PP projects. This tutorial intends to facilitate cooperation in building efficient interoperable data management infrastructure by both projects. And this event is co-hosted virtually by Inestec and CSC. My name is Liisa-Maria Mankinen and I work as a data management specialist at CSC in the IC Center for Science in Finland. And with me from the CONVERGE coordination at Inestec Tech are Mr. Luis Pessoa and Mr. Philip Teixeira. I will share my screen to show you our agenda. When I'm introducing this agenda briefly, I will give a voice to our keynote speaker. First, some practicalities, household rules. This session is going to be recorded and the recording is going to be available later on. We kindly ask you to keep your mic muted during the presentation. And if you have any specific questions or comments, please use the chat for them. We will have some time to raise up those questions and comments during the session, as well as to have general discussion in the end of our tutorial. Now it's my privilege to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Yuri Demchenko, who is a senior researcher at the Complex Cyber Infrastructure Research Group of the University of Amsterdam. He is graduated from the National Technical University of Ukraine, Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, where he also received his PhD degree. His main research areas include data science and data management, big data infrastructure and technologies for data analytics, DevSecOps, and general security architectures. He was involved in many European projects such as e.g. Giant4, Fair's Fair, Slices DS, where he developed elements of cloud-based infrastructures for scientific research. With those experiences, he is moving to coordinating a new challenging project, Green Digit, which will target improving energy efficiency and reducing the environmental impact for the future digital RIs. Currently, he is contributing to building the SLICES RI for digital infrastructure technologies experimentation. He is actively research on the architectural and design aspect of research data management infrastructure for experimental research reproducibility and fair data sharing and handling. Mr. Demchenko, please, the floor is yours.
Do I have sharing right? Yes, share. Okay, so I will, okay, thank you for introduction, Lisa, very extended. Typically not so much people talk about during an introduction, but just to comment, I have a lot of different activities and research topics, and recently data management became one of my main activities. Why? Not because it's challenging in, say, a heavy intellectual, but because it's demand of community. And strangely that during working on different projects, I acquired some knowledge that I am happy to share. And by the way, in theoretical aspects in this area, data management, especially for new project, like we will discuss at the final, if time allows, for machine actionable DMP, is quite also challenging issues in sense of research. But anyway, this is a outline of my today's tutorial. It has enough slides to fill in the whole time, but some slides are rather textual and detailed, so I will not stop on them, read slides, I will simply comment, and you will have opportunity to use these slides as a reference. Actually, I teach courses related to big data, data management infrastructure, and in 2 of 3 courses, I include this topic, research data management and industrial data management. So this is quite important. And during the presentation, during tutorial, I will просто simply explain why it is important and who is demanding and why it is important for you. Also including a personal data management. What is also important to know, how to know best practices, share your experience, and so on. During this tutorial, approximately, then I finish the first part, A/B. So we will make a Mentimeter, these 2 simple questions. What data management tools or practices you use in your organization, and how much do you know about fair data principles? Okay, so at the end also, I will show you a data management plan. Everybody participate in European project. Everybody hear about that data management plan should be included in a project after they deliver it, but still very little done how to implement this data management plan. And this is also issue in a project that, say, I participate in SLICES, and what we also discussing in new proposals. Okay, going to the first motivational or foundational part of the tutorial is open.
Yuri, maybe you should put in full screen because it's not.
No, I will still use, because I will be jumping between slides.
If you prefer, it's up to you. Okay, just remind me. No problem.
So I use, because I will jump between slides like this, and this is my approach.
No problem.
Okay. So foundation for this is why we have started talking about open access, open data, open science, even more about open science. First of all, there is a European policy on this topic. It is demanded on all funded projects. And this is not only in Europe, is also a similar demand in United States, Australia, a less demand, strict demand in Japan. So we need to know this, and we are actually forced, and we need to comply and understand benefits, because really everything is not because it is simply demand by funding organizations, but this is the demand to improve efficiency. So European movement to open access to research data started approximately in 2011, 2012. And what interesting that by strange coincidence, I was at a meeting 2012 in Rome, when actually was commission representatives seriously decided and outlined their plan to establish or introduce open access. And since that, everything almost started. So if you look at the statistics slightly updated after 2012, that Europe has 3,500 publicly funded research organizations that receive money from government or from commission. So public money, data, and results need to be also shared publicly. Less applicable this issue of data sharing to the privately funded research organization, but they also one or another way benefit from open access, because open access is a mutual benefits. If organization or research publish then data, everybody benefits, but others publish data, specific research organization is benefit. What interesting that even 2012, it was clearly discussed problem, this opening data, European data to such country like China, India, Russia, and at least 2 of these countries, the situation not changed even more, how it's called, increase the concern. So open access is not entirely open, and we look at about later how it is defined. And one of the first moving force behind open access was Open Air project. I actually don't know how it is full name of the project, but since that time, after say 2 extensions of the project, so after 6 years from the beginning, they started operational service. And now is a service that funded at a level between member countries, and everybody, especially working at higher education institutions and in research organization, they benefit from access, open access that is provided by Open Air. And you need to also deposit your results in the Open Air site. Open Air also made their spin-off is a Zenodo, which everybody, most of you already know how to use and probably use. And few very important developments made since that time is a persistent identifiers for data that allows individual papers, articles, data sets identified by unique identifier, which can be searchable and recognized. And ORCID. I also believe that all of you already have the ORCID ID, Open Research ID, and this is linked to your, to your publications, to your work, and it's needed to be included into European project proposal. So strictly or more specifically, European policy on open research data introduced since Horizon 2020, say 8, maybe 10 years ago, and there are a number of sites that maintain this policy and provide access. And recently, the so-called Open Research Data initiative by Commission, it was Open Research Data pilot, was transformed to the European site on open data, data.europe.ua. But if we look at the idea of the ORD, Open Research Data, it's actually bury the principal issues related to, or features related to open access. So data as open as possible, as closed as necessary. So this doesn't mean that open data is data that are openly without any condition. If you know technologies, for example, from internet or telecommunication, so open standards means not open communication, but open possibility, open standard, and open protocols. So complying these open data principles, there is a possibility to share data and access to all and be compatible. And new recent developments since possibly maybe 2022 year, the European Open Science and Open Data initiative and policy includes the fair data principles. In the next slides, I will show what does mean fair data principle. Also, will ask you in a Mentimeter what do you know about fair data principle, and also refer to a couple of publications and even personas who were at the foundation of fair data principles. So now is at a, say, can be treated as a maturity of open science policy in Europe, and Europe even published Open Data Maturity Report. You can find this on this URL, where is a open data maturity statistics for 2023, and you can see which country are advanced, which are not, So Malta is not sufficiently, Albania can be understood, France is very advanced, Cyprus advanced. It's interesting. I didn't look closely at this. Poland is advanced. So site and service data Europa.eu. It's a new service by European Commission that allows, it was started from ORD, Open Research Data, and currently it's provided services, full-scale services that already offers more than 1.5 million data sets, different catalogs and data stories. It also has run academy, a data academy. Now they offer 11 courses, but unfortunately, these courses is still not sufficiently developed. I attended a couple of them, but they are quite simple. But anyway, knowing this kind of resource, I believe they will develop. Maybe we will try to donate this kind of tutorials to them if they require some formats or whatever. Maybe we can discuss this them. So another element of the European data management means research data management is data management plan. Initial data management plan was more or less generic, but since 2020, this data management plan is structured by FAIR data principles. So if somebody of you already has experience of writing or including data management plan in the proposal or in the project, you should remember that data management plan contains section how to make data findable, how to make it accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And another conditions for data management plan is it's included as a section in the proposal, and it must be submitted at the first 6 months of the project. I hear there's some kind of rumor that the Commission will start requiring data management plan from the project beginning, but I haven't seen this confirmation of this. But anyway, you understand that, okay, you can understand a Commission in their promotion and their policy on open access and open science, that data need to be managed in the project from the beginning. But my still observation that this practice of implemented data management in the projects or in organization is still at a very low level. There are many reasons for this. We're trying to how in some way to cope with this problem. And this tutorial is one of the say actions to arise awareness and motivate people to use data management principles, research data management that will help to organize research and make it more reproducible and more impactful. There are few definitions or concept in open science. In open access is a open access. In this slide simply shows that there are open access, about which we will look at the next slides, and there is a toll access. Toll access is a traditional. Then organization or users pay for the access to the publications, and price is quite high. If somebody tried to buy article from IEEE proceedings or from standard organization, so you pay for 60 to 100 plus dollars or euros per paper. So this is high price, but it's typically free for academic organization and for research organization under organizational subscription. This is toll access. It may be by subscription or individual. Open access has a different, generally it allows free access to publications and to research results, but under some conditions. What does it mean open access? Free availability on public internet. Again, possibly also under some conditions. But data are provided, or information provided under condition that it has lawful use and actually not violate some legal, financial, or technical problems. And also allows author to declare their right and intellectual property. Now imagine this kind of free access to information, if it can be, I would say, complied by some countries or some people. That's why I mentioned about concern about countries like China and Russia about access, and especially about lawful use. So this is a big discussion, but anyway, this initiative is moving, and this Europe is benefiting, and free world is also benefiting from this. About open access, there are two concepts that I think that not known to many people. This is gratis and libre access, open access. So beside this two open access, there are still under special condition, special publication. But there is also such called as a fair use, or probably it's fair use. It allows even a copyrighted content to be used for educational purposes without problem if it's used not in a very large amount. Personally, I am using a lot of information from company websites, from publications, just in my courses. But in many cases, it happens that you need to adjust this information, adjust the content to your educational training purposes. And this means that you actually can limit to citation of information that you used and not actually complying this or requiring to obtain the copyright use. Okay, so gratis open access is allows a free of charge access, but has a limit of using of this. Libre open access is fully free and without any limitation. So if we look at this is famous acronym BOI that defined the open access. So gratis is libre. Gratis is a access that is normally used for majority of publication. Libre is a fully open access. There is also two other concepts related to open access: is a green open access and gold open access. And what is the difference? Green open access, this is article provided by author on self-archiving websites or repositories, but these articles provided by authors, they are pre-publication. So open access green OA 1. This is published by article even before by author, even before article is reviewed and published. This open access, green open access 2, this is published self-archived, and for this there are special website I will tell later, like Zenodo, like Archive. So author can deposit on self-archiving service their article even before it's published, but it's maybe also already reviewed. So this is preprint. And gold open access is done on the published or reviewed articles, and they are all publishing cost is paid by author organization. So in green, there is so-called embargo period. I don't know if somebody of you tried to use or comply with this embargo period, but actually once then we published book, it was embargo period was 1 year, that we are not allowed either to publish the content of book or submit a piece of this content to another publisher. So yes, embargo, I experienced once an embargo period, but not in any other cases. So if paper already peer-reviewed but not published, I typically publish upload to my website, and sometimes even Google try to index my web page and additionally the official publication. I don't know if people has a question about this. Maybe something too far from real life for majority of you, but if we're talking about green or open access, so subject to self-archiving or author to upload their works, data set, and papers to so-called self-archiving services. This is Zenodo. All of these self-archiving services, Zenodo, Archive, Figshare, and PubMed for medical research, they actually give you a OID, so identifier for your publication, PID or OID. And actually, European Commission require that everything what is produced in a project is published on Zenodo or OpenAir. But for my information, they exchange indexes, Zenodo and OpenAir, so publishing on one or another is actually have the same effect. And information from Zenodo and OpenAir is automatically accessed by a European Commission project or proposal management portal. So this is automatically attached to your project and listed in your, let's say, project data. Archive is managed by Cornell University. It has a much simpler procedure to publish because I don't know if many of you have experience of publishing, uploading your data to Zenodo. It requires sometimes up to 15 minutes to prepare the full information on Zenodo. Archive is much simpler, but they also provide a publication ID. Figshare position themselves as a website for self-archiving service to facilitate reproducibility of research. So they have a publication of data set, workflows, and so on. I don't know much about PubMed, but maybe some of you participated in the project that this is applicable to the project related to medical research and so on. Behind all this self-archiving, open access, and any publication is a PID, persistent identifier. There are few persistent identifiers that are related to publication. One of them is DOI, is the most often used or most widely used. And I don't know much about CNRI, Corporation for National Research Initiative, that also maintain service that they call handle. So PID identifier and handle is almost synonyms. DOI, digital object identifier, is also in this kind of relation. So they have simply different name, interchangeable, and issue this PID that this persistent identifier should be unique in a world, in a whole world, and can be searchable. So if you have PID, the service provided by PID consortium and infrastructure that they maintain, the same as DOI, that they allows to find where this your paper or something what you search is located. So this is a very big issue. PID also has so-called life cycle, and if data related to data, if data already registered, after that they go through many stages, and at the final stage they are become citable and publishable. So actually data referred by new PID or citable PID, but process and system that support the data management, they also may produce intermediate ID and unique ID. For which purpose it is used? This is used to link data, especially in a project that require reproducibility and explainability, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and different type of analytics. So another element of open access publication business is a research ID. Research ID allows all researcher to obtain this identifier, and this identifier is attached to all of their publications, papers, project, and so on. Also, you probably know that during the proposal registration, all researchers included in the project, is advised, not mandatory, provide the ORCID. And ORCID has this kind of structure, is a domain and code. Sometimes this code is sufficient, 16 digit. Sometimes you need to provide also HTTP as a kind of identifier. So for what purpose is ORCID is used? ORCID is used for different purposes. First, you have an account, and on ORCID website you can see all your publication, but many sites also do aggregate your all your work, research work, based on your ORCID. I cannot give you an example immediately, but you can try to investigate yourself and see how it looks like. So there is so-called research information system that it also that includes different type of services, like include research institution, funders, governments, and they also link your ORCID ID to all this kind of say resources or projects or processes. Also, ORCID is embedded into different workflow, like manuscript submission, grant application, what I mean the proposal submission, data set, and patent application. Possibly it's also possible. And typically, what does ORCID service? ORCID.org, you can go there, you have login to ORCID, and under your ORCID ID, you will see all publication, all your personal information, and all publication that they collected. I didn't check if they really collect everything, But statistics shows that ORCID has more than, now probably is more than 10 millions of registered researchers. And many works, not everybody is serving this ORCID, but anyway, this is a format of ORCID, like 16 digits, or together this a namespace definition, like orchid.org, and also Scopus, it is linked to the Scopus ID, and any other ID as shown in this list. Okay, so now we have probably time before we go to fair data principles and actually data management. First of all, I would ask if there are questions. This comments not related to actually questions, but if questions, I don't see questions. Maybe somebody has a question by voice. Maybe somebody wants to ask why we need to know this OpenID, ORCID, or whatever. It's also a question. This is something why you need this to know. Because then you start building your, say, expertise, culture, habits in data management. It is very good if you have all this kind of background information. Because if you know why and which context is done, is actually quite beneficial. Now, what will happen now? I will reduce my slides, and this will be promised Mentimeter. I will present this Mentimeter, put in the chat. I will put a Mentimeter ID. So my question will be, before we start actual data management practices and principles, and also fair, I just want to that we how it's called, synchronize around that we synchronize around you see the code,
Yes,
and I
yes.
put
yeah, if you can put the link on the chat.
Or we can just put
I
the
see
code
some
on
problem
the chat.
with
Yes.
chat.
Okay, let's put there.
Okay, this is a chat. Because I see some text in the chat. Now you can start answering, and I think we have how many people? We have 29, and we'll see what is the audience knows about data management and what practices is used. But probably this URL is also working that I posted, because if I put here, it's a click to copy voting link.
Yes, it's working. Thank you.
There can be multiple answers. Data policy officer, I understand, internal data policy officer. Yes, it's interesting. Tiago, you wanted to comment? No, it's for 29 people. It's not many people to, not many collection we have. Mm-hmm. For our purpose, possibly the most important to understand how organization is establishing data management. So data management group is quite interesting. Okay, while everybody adding, or many people still probably will add, what is, if somebody who is answered that data management group helps in filling, in filling data management plan. Is this data management group people called data steward or not?
I was it. I
Yes.
wrote it. They are not called data stewards because there is not such a title in our institute. We are data managers.
Because interesting that in US in Amsterdam already 2 years as they established a data steward that works to have a position. They help different groups, but saying that they are in high demand or they need have a lot of work is, I would not say, but they are called data stewards.
Yeah, we are in Spain.
Version control.
Yes. In ESCTech, we also have, I think it's official data steward position.
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
No, it's going very slow. Because I don't know if we will talk about data management plan later, but what I know, what actually I see that data management issues are not explicitly addressed currently in new proposals, because everybody in Commission also thinks that data management is already established at each organization, and indeed that data management plan can be managed internally for each organization. Okay, so data site is okay, it's interesting. I don't know if I will need also to myself to learn how EU DAT can provide service related to that they replace. But EU DAT service, does they provide service sufficient to not to use Zenodo or OpenAir? Or they EU DAT services in sense of publishing, depositing data, and so on?
Well, it's me again.
Okay.
So you that have different services. One is B2Find, that is a catalog for data finding, so
Yeah.
metadata collectors. Then there is the B2Share, that is a repository, similar to Zenodo. It has more metadata, is a little bit different, but with similar repository functioning. And then there are B2Safe for policies for reproducing different storage repositories from different institutions. And then I'm missing something. They are using handling, so PIDs with handles. They are providing those.
No, I know that EUDAT is very advanced project, but for my understanding, for my knowledge, it's mostly oriented on the social sciences and say not computer sciences. Am I correct?
As far as I know, it is. Sorry, very noisy. So it is very broad for in the sense of fields. There are several supercomputing centers that are joining UDAT, ULIH, for example, and BSc. We are part of UDAT. And the main difference is that it's centered on data more than on publications on papers. This is the main difference I can spot now.
Okay. This is. I think we will finish now this poll. Thank you. It will be stored and documented. And now is more challenging a poll about fair data principle. So can you assess what is your knowledge of fair data principle and practices? I see at least 12 answers will contribute to the quite high level of adoption in sense of metadata, open data, and so on. Can you fill in this poll? Or this is actually tricky poll because we still not discussed what is fair does mean. But even this is a kind of specifically put here at this moment that from one side to attract your attention to fair, what we'll discuss later, and to understand how much is fair is recognizable. Yeah, please, everybody try. This will be very good information, very important information for the project, for the Converge. And after that, I will show what we had, if I find. I will show what we had in Slices project. Let's reach 15 people, 15 answers, please. Now we still have 5. We don't have much time, so at some moment we stop this, talk about fair, and after that we will have break. 4 more people, please. At least to be statistically consistent. Okay, so while it is maybe somebody also add, I will check if I have a possibility to no, this is not what I wanted. I was trying to find last year. I will do this after a break. Okay, so what we can understand from this poll, that people know about FAIR, it is good, but in the next slide, beside talking about what does FAIR mean, I will also try to explain what are technical problems of implementing FAIR, and you can understand that, or I understand why it is not much implemented now, until now. But at the same time, organizational data management is already good. This is a good result. It's still spreading. I hope this is not less than 10 people put this, or if not all 10 put this on the top. And a low level of acceptance of metadata catalog and data publishing tools. Maybe somebody who answered that you already have these services implemented. Nadia, it's probably you also that you implemented metadata. If do I right?
Yeah, it depends on the community. But yes,
Yeah, this
yes.
is because if you started talking about EUDAT was one of the pioneers to implement metadata at the level of data management. And if you use EUDAT, means that you're already using the metadata profiles.
Yeah, sure.
Somebody else has also metadata implementation in your research data.
Hi, hello.
Yeah.
I'm João from Inestec.
Uh-huh.
Of course, when we use the data repository at Inestec, and of course we have a minimal set of metadata based on WCOR and other specific metadata elements that can be required depending on the researcher's requirements that can be used to fulfill the metadata. But basically, WCOR metadata has a minimal metadata set elements.
Okay.
And by the way, I just following on Luis mentioned earlier that we have a data steward at INESC. It is among my tasks to be a data steward, so providing support for data management planning and also data deposits.
Okay.
And
I will comment
all the requirements that researchers may have on this.
Data steward is very recognized profession or position role in many organizations.
Not yet. I can describe myself as a data steward, as I have done a PhD in this field. But it is not officially recognized at the institutional level. But going forward, as we are trying to implement also open policies regarding data sharing, I think the term will stick eventually. But not yet. I prefer to describe myself as a data management plan manager, someone that are providing support not only in the definition of a data management plan, but also in some projects also be the manager of the data management plan.
Okay. So I would say that at some moment in one of the projects, we were defining the so-called professional profile for data steward.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we have a kind of a way to connect, I would, you can put in chat your name, your email. I will answer. I will also put my email to provide this information. What data steward means in a sense of on the market.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't want that you just drop your current job and search for data steward job, but demand is huge.
Yes,
in
it is.
Europe. But this is
Yes,
reality.
I can see that at Inexpect that
Yes, and
it's very demanding in terms
there is
of
also was a question about domain-specific metadata. Did you come to this?
at Inexpect not yet,
Because
but actually my PhD thesis was about engaging researchers in data description. And I create several lightweight ontologies for
Yes.
specific areas and tested that with researchers. So,
Okay, in this case, I would say that next tutorial and training workshop you need to do yourself without me. You can use my slides, extend them, and so on.
Okay.
And this is one of the job of data steward. Okay, so we move to the slides because I still want to have a break. Maybe not as for you as for me. Also, I'm trained to talk around 1 hour in a row, but still it's difficult. So fair data principle. Fair data principle were created by initiative of researchers, mostly originated from a genome bioinformatics. Why? Because once genome research were the most data challenging area, and they required a huge amount of data sharing, and searching for data, and group of bioinformaticians and publishers published or defined principle that they called FAIR. First, this was just few words, 4 words: findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable. But behind this, in a couple of years, then it's come to the practical implementation, they formulated metadata requirements. And I will not actually read this list of requirements. What need to be done to make a data findable? At least you can use these words then write in your deliverable of data management plan. This means this is understood that define metadata of published data produced in a project that have a unique identifier. All data describes this metadata. So actually it's requirement. But one thing, write a project plan, and another is to implement. And here is coming the different technical problems. Technical problems. So metadata, you need, and PID, you need infrastructure, you need metadata register, you need a semantic tools, you need editors, registries, and you need handle resolution. Handle resolution should be not done inside organization. You need to connect to global PID services. And also it needs to be added to policy and SLA. Why policy and SLA? Because in many applications, policy and SLA are automatically connected to the application and to API, accessible. So again, need to have infrastructure which is accessible using standard protocols. And another implied services is a sovereignty that are rather specific for Europe. That there are special rules that allow sovereignty, means a full control of data or resources, digital resources, by owners or a producer of data. in data protection, interoperable, standards, metadata, and also for interoperability is essential issue is a maturity level. Currently, there is already a maturity level assessment. There is a questionnaire you can find. I don't have a link on the slide, but you can find. And next we go for reusable, the same, that a reusable means that you track all data transformation and link to the workflow and projects and outcome. And all of this require technical implementation. This is very slowly, goes very slowly. Recent, in the last slides, I have information about EOSC project and tools that they developed, and they are very successfully go through implementing all these tools, because developing in one organization is almost impossible. So EOSC is doing big job on, or European Commission doing big job to fund or in funding the development of tools to implement fair data principle. About how fair data management is organized in the organization. Now you can recognize, so in different stages of data processing, handling, there are different roles. Almost all roles present data steward, except maybe data collection that is done by engineers and researchers, and data analytics. So then data steward was defined, in particular this person. This is Professor Barend Mons from Leiden University. Nadia, you maybe heard about this person because he was also active at the time then EU DAT was very active.
Yes, yes.
You know that, yes?
Yes, I know. And not personally, but I met him in some occasions.
It's interesting. We also met with him and discussed a lot of what is different between data steward, data science, and all these issues. And finally, he also influenced the definition of data science that is also commonly recognized. He was voting for data steward, but he influenced the data science. And one of his working definition was like data steward is everything beside data analytics. Looking at this list, data stewards maybe not participate in the data analytics and data collection, but maybe participate in defining data models. But also something not maybe not obvious, that data steward in commercial companies. Then we made the job market research. Two times we did, in 2020 and 2022. And we discovered that demand for data steward among commercial organizations, banks, and financial organization is a huge. So, and why this aspect is included, the data steward works this data infrastructure. Data steward provide requirements on behalf of researchers to a data ICT department, which tools develop, how data managed, and so on. And another diagram is diagram from many years ago. Then we discussed this Barend Mons about definition of data steward. So that data steward in research organization is actually also participate in all stages except data analysis. So this is how it looks like. So data steward it's a good profession, and this will require even say people who likes action data steward for them will be much more applicable, possibly suitable than sitting and crunching data as a data analyst or data scientist. So, but I'm not data steward. But if I would have different, or maybe I would also go to data stewardship. Okay, and this moment we will make a break. I ask break 10 minutes, not 15 minutes. We have sufficient amount of slides that I would like to show you, maybe not discussing too much on the slides because they are more or less technical. So should we make a break?
Let's
10 minutes?
start at 20 past, so it's now 10 past, right?
20 past, and we will have 20 minutes after that work and discussion, final discussion.
Okay.
Okay, I will stop my sharing.
See you in a moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I share it. My next slide.
Thank you.
This is, should I start immediately? Or maybe ask if people have questions before we'll start to this topic, data management practices. Okay, so I'm going. In this part, we will discuss data management practices, talking about what are components of data management, what advice or recommendation can be used for example, for working this data, file naming, formatting, storing data. Next, what are tasks related to administrative task and management task regarding data, backup, documentation, so on. And there are ethical and legal aspects, but we are not discussing in this tutorial, but they actually exist. Now we can look at two concepts exist in data management and governance is data management and data governance. Data governance is defining policy and implementing the policy in all organizations. This top-down approach. Surely, data governance policy need to be developed by experienced people, reviewed by organization management, and so on. Data management treated as a bottom-up approach. We go from data and implement data, all actions related to data distribution, data policy, and so on. How much is applicable? I think this is a good illustration what is different between data management and governance. And data management is implemented by operational team, operational role, including database management, data stewards, and so on. And data governance is implemented by chief data officer who defines and supervises the policy of data. What we need to understand about data management is that a typical project, say not research, not much research, rather a business project, that it starts from planning data, data gathering, exploration, building model, and after that action on the data. And during all the stages, data need to be collected is staged. There are special tools already exist that allows to do data management or data storing and documenting during the whole stages of the data analytics or machine learning projects. What is the problem here? At each stage, when we receive data collected, they have one format. Next, that we do data preparation, they transform it to another format, maybe to different data models, and so on. It use different metadata. And finally, resulted data has another, one more different model. So making storage of data that are linked, but at the same time has a different model, it's a trick, and actually it's addressed by data lakes and modern technology like data fabrics. What is need to be also took into account that typical either research project or business project, they have a iterative approach. After receiving first data, acting on data, new data is appear and new data collected. Is not, now this cycle is repeating. And modern technology, again, like data lake, data version control, they allow to correctly link data, stage data, and keep versioning. So this is how it exists. And if you look at the data governance document, beside all these issues related to the data infrastructure, different data actions, operation, transformation, there is also definition of data governance and organizational roles. In data governance policy of organization is defined chief data officer, data project data officer, or something like this. Data steward, data manager is a default name. But this new technologies and new task, this possibly data manager maybe not sufficiently specific name, because data management exists from data base appearance, and they have also at that time also data managers. So modern style, modern technologies, and a organizational approach is require defining the data stewardship as explicit role. And a data management plan is appendix, typically addendum to the data governance policy. But I'm almost sure that majority organization has only data management plan and not a data governance policy. At least I don't know if I haven't heard about data governance policy at University of Amsterdam, except ethical principles and something like this. Data management. I already mentioned this, that data management is everything except data analysis. But beside this, that saying this, I would say this is a traditional or current, maybe even past vision. Then we start talking about managing data during machine learning and data analytics projects. We already cannot avoid working this data during the data analysis. This sufficient, say, research result, what we also doing this in the SLICES project, talking about machine actionable data management plan. If we have sufficient amount of understanding how we can implement this switch tool, maybe I would slightly change this slide, not saying everything by data analysis. I would change this to the this specifics during the machine learning and artificial intelligence projects. And we need to, I want still to fit into our time, finish 3:45. So I will quickly comment on slide, and you, for details, you can look at the slides. So why it is data management? Possibly not needed to talk a lot. So data management should allow catching all information about data and the process to prove what is done and make it reproducible. So, okay, and trackable. So what needs to be captured in documenting data? So data management plan is saying data need to be well documented. So what does it mean? It's even difficult to imagine how much information you need to collect if you want to achieve the full reproducibility of experiments. We tried to work on this in slices. Everybody is doing experiment, everybody is producing data, processing, but after we try to understand what we need to document, we need to document all environment, all infrastructure, all directories, all models, data models, and so on. So background information, including project, including also publications. After that goes different aspects related to instrument used. Also, if you do experiments or on radio require the documenting of environment, possibly geographical coverage, and so on. And next goes actually some information that collected and produced during data processing. Various different and also conditions, different conditions for qualitative and quantitative studies. For qualitative studies, documenting the experiment setup and information that need to be used during qualitative study is very important. It's typically done by interview or collecting information from opinion and so on. Is it tricky? How to process tricky, but it also requires documenting. And what next of the best practices? There are many information, if not majority of information, is stored in the files. Some files, data files, or data collected in experiment can be put into a directory, but still a lot of information is stored in file names. Not saying about publications, versions, and say document about different events. So file name is still treated as a principal identifier of the data. And putting sufficient information in a file name will seriously simplify finding and searching for information. So I included this as a quite important aspect, and I myself using these practices. How to name files, how to search, how to locate them in different directories, and file names should be descriptive, that it's actually point on the content of the inside file. So if you have a different papers, even for example from one conference, if you download, sometimes they have names of conference, sometimes not. So you may need to add a version, date, content, description is keywords, and maybe author. Is kind of example. This is best to look at example. For example, we have a project Green Digit, and in 2024, it make a experiment or computational experiment on a environmental impact of artificial intelligence using CNN convolutional neural networks, and the experiment was related to performance analysis using GPU. So this is the best way how to document this file. Surely you can create a directory of the project, directory of experiment, and of performance analysis. But after that, if you start sharing your file with somebody, it creates problems. Business style shows that use the approach that everything that users and company workers work through the information system, through database, and they got information in the form of dashboard. But if you are start sharing your information, so you need actually find a way how to name your file. And you send your file, if it's, for example, will be containing only first name, green digit, and CSV, your receiver either will lose control or track of what was sent, or you will not find what was in this file in your computer. So I have a big problem. Then I work with students, and typically I receive during one course around 70 to 100 different student assignments, and 40% of them typically, until the recent time, was called my assignment, my project, my website. You understand? Even for grading purposes, I need to know what is inside, who submitted this, because not everything can be done inside the learning system, that the file connected to the student. But after how it's called, a good explanation to students, now I'm receiving my project, my assignment files around 20%. This actually motivates. This is a bad example. You cannot name all files my data or best version. Better if you provide this kind of information. There is an alternative opinion. There are cases where you don't, or you cannot, or there is no need to make put in additional information in file name. This is related to software packages, GitHub directories, and also directory-related data, metadata that typically stored in the files that have the same name, but they are located in different directories. And another issue is, even in these software packages, you always have if you have the name of classes, for example, in Java, Python, you have a kind of namespace or domain namespace structure of the classes names. And this is example that I use typically to show more or less consistent data management. There are other, okay, this will be next slide. So adding comments to first name the type of file or project. Date should be such a way that it can be ordered. And all remaining, you can actually get as a comment. I would to this kind of, you see, date are different and time are different. So I would still add version 1, 2, 3, 4. And possibly the best or test a version that in this list of file would be the last version. This is practices used by many researchers. Not much, I would say, I heard from computer scientists, but many researchers is used. Data version control is very important issue. It's required for traceability, documentation, backup, and reproducibility. Also retention and archiving purposes. And here is also best practices or advice how to manage data version control or document version control in your, say, projects. First, I would mention that file should, or directory need to be more or less explained what is the content. There are, for example, two options how you can name directory or file. If you name this health test 2010 0401 or 06 means that this is for 6 April, ordering is different in this way. So if you do the full date format, you can order correctly. If you do the reverse date format, so it will be ordered semi randomly. Another advice on personal data management is how you manage the document version that you edit the same document by group of people. For this purpose, we introduce a concept of data owner who change the main version of data of file. And what happens in this example? In this example happens the following, that version 1 produced by document owner, after that John Doe commented, after this Mary Claire commented, and after that document owner or editor included all reviews and issued new version. So, and everybody of you know that managing a version in the Google Doc is quite tricky. And okay, and almost all cases, the initial version of the proposal is done in Google Doc. After that, final version is done offline and by editor strictly following the all changes and addition. In 5 minutes, we will finish. At the moment that is time will come, all the remaining information you will simply look at this presentation. Something also advice from personal experience: if you store a paper or documents external, try to add additional information to file name or put in a specific directory. This will help you to find this later. Archiving digital, non-digital content. There are practices for this. It is applicable for majority of non-computer science or computer-generated files, and this also there are quite useful examples. We will look at what is metadata. Just maybe one of the target topic of today's tutorial. So metadata is data about data. What does it mean? That metadata describe what are data. There are different ways how metadata added to the actual data, either part of the data collection as a separate file, if the collection has many files in a directory, or sometimes metadata added to actual data. I don't know if you know that in all video, audio files and photo files, a lot of metadata, and it's a huge amount of metadata. And standard exists for putting metadata into all media files, images, video, photos, and so on. There are a number of standards for metadata. One of the oldest, simplest, and the most widely used is the Dublin Core. But Dublin Core is used mostly for describing the published document, also suitable for published data. There are DataCite, also very popular standard. Data Documentation Initiative is international, and others, MODS, MEDS, and PREMIS. There are also specific by discipline for bioscience, earth, environmental science, health, genomics, and education. So education also has a metadata. It's called learning object metadata. And who is teaching, they probably may have experience of using LOM model. And Dublin Core contains 15 metadata elements, main. and many additional. And example, it has such format. It contains the put into, say, in a tag under name DC dot format. Typically, they do the capital DC, but it's not required because in XML format, you can use a different type of, say, denominator. So this example is more correct because this example actually taken from the meta information in website or web page. And this is more specific XML-based structure for Dublin Core metadata. If you try to analyze this, you may find that not much information can you put into this 15 metadata elements: title, creator, subject, description, publisher, contribute, date, and all others, but sufficient to make information about publishable documents. Data side, this for your reference. It is based on Dublin Core, but has many specifics extended. And possibly one of the final slides to show you what means metadata. If you see this kind of say statement or information, what would you see? What maybe you can suggest that it's not a body temperature, but which temperature, Fahrenheit or Celsius? And information that is typically need to be provided together this claimed temperature is related to, you see, how many questions. So this means that metadata is very important for understanding data, what we actually document and collect. And metadata is typically treated or defined for discoverability. Metadata for discoverability need to collect information of what is data, who created data, why this data created, where they are collected, when collected, and how they are created, which kind of experiment or which kind of tools, and so on. On this, I think we need to still stick to agenda. A remaining part of this presentation is related to data protection. Maybe this one of the important for reference. I mentioned that EOSC community created a good set of tools for managing data and metadata. And FAIR Core project created this kind of tools. And what we are trying to use in slices is a metadata schema and crosswalk registry. They also have an open call for implementers of these tools, or some of them too. And if the project will require or will try to ask them, EOSC, they maybe include you for very small funding just to support implementation of these tools in your project. On this, I will finish. I will only announce that we are working in slices on machine actionable DMP that will allow us to add data management plan in machine readable and actionable format to data scientific workflow. And specifically, this is even more challenging, is how to do this for AI projects and data management, data produced and used in artificial intelligence project. Okay, on this I finish because we need time to discussion, to question, and so on. And slides will be available, so you can look. For your reference, this is how in slices we see on the experimental data lifecycle model and data flow. And these are points in data flow where we plan or where we want to include fair compliance. Data collection, experiment, data collection, analytics, and archiving. Maybe this will be the last slide that will stay for discussion. Okay, so please ask question. I will check if there is a questions. Have to leave. This is happens, but no questions. So Luis, Lisa, try to activate audience to ask question.
Yes, please. Now you have an opportunity to ask from Yuri because he has so large experience about these issues and also being part of different projects going there. He mentioned FairCore for EOSC, which is a sister project for Fair Impact, where I'm involved in also, so I have some knowledge about this, and I also put in chat about the new project Skills for EOSCs, which is developing curricula for data stewards in general level. So now I see that Philip is asking something in chat.
And Lisa, you are involved into a fair skills.
Fair impact.
Fair skills or not?
My colleague is in there.
Yes. I would be I already tried a few times to contact Fair Skills for EOSC, but no actions was followed. I'll offered my experience in teaching and defining curricula and so on, but this is quite difficult, quite complex, these topics.
Okay, so I will say that to my colleague that you are here to contact.
Yes.
And also, I think that OS Trails, which is now has now started, and it's all around this machine actionable data management plans. So one of my colleagues is also joining there. So we will have the contacts what we are needing.
Okay, so very interesting question from Philip. What is your thought about data expiration date in terms of relevance? Being the repository public, how old would become outdated data?
Yeah, so basically, how old is too old for a public repository?
There is no such concept at all. Data are stored, and treating they are old or not is only user responsibility. Library is not treating you look about repository as a library. Library, there are some cases that library trash books, but there are libraries that never remove, never destroy books. I also tried to mention in one of the slides that you have a repository. Repository always has a mandatory have a date. It also has a date of a document or data submitted and time with data published. This is visible through directory or archive or repository. If you download them on your computer, for your personal use. For this purpose, I also very carefully add date of data or paper or whatever I download. Because in current technologies, I would say in computer science, papers from 2010, we don't allow students to use this paper at all. Only under some special conditions, they can use paper because maybe it's a foundational or seminal papers. So using information, collecting, and how it's called, researching on it should be very time aware, very time aware. Even if you talk about ChatGPT, ChatGPT last update was in May last year. They sometimes warn you that my information is before this date, so we don't guarantee the 100% of relevance and so on.
Thank you.
The same, we now research on the interesting, is last slide in this tutorial. You will have it. We working on the principle of machine actionable data management plan. Last publication on this topic was more or less consistent in 2020. But then I started comparing what they declare machine actionable is 2020, at the time then Research Data Alliance produced their recommendation. I found that at least half of them need to be redefined for more, say, modern requirement to data management. So this is how it looks like. More questions? Yes, Philip, it's very nice question.
May I have just maybe a comment and also a question?
Yes.
Regarding the importance of metadata, you just mentioned temperature as an example. And I have a very interesting case about the temperature being used as a very important metadata element, because researchers shared data sets which were very dependent on the temperature of the environment.
Yes.
In order for you to read the actual data sets. But the metadata for the temperature was not registered anywhere. So we need to come up with a metadata element,
okay,
just like an application profile. So, okay, you have to, when you produce such data sets, you have to capture the metadata value. Otherwise, people will not be able to reuse the data, because the way they were evaluating the data set, evaluated the relation between the pressure over a specimen and the point of fracture, which is dependent on the environment temperature.
Absolutely agree with you.
You need to have that kind of metadata. So to follow up on your input, Yuri, I think that is also a good example of how metadata is important in these cases, especially for enable fair. Now, I have a question. You mentioned actionable DMPs. Were you mostly addressing or talking about Argus as an environment to create such outputs? The machine actionable DMPs. Sorry,
there is also a question from somebody else about tools for machine actionable.
Yes.
Everything that currently is declared as machine actionable is actually not machine actionable in the definition that we trying to define for a real serious modern project. What is treated as machine actionable in existing publications is tools to create data management plan and express this in the JSON format.
Exactly.
But this is only issue about format, not machine actionability. I've been at the last meeting, RDA meeting in Göteborg. probably 21, 22 or 2023, last year. They had a meeting about machine actionable, but they are not how's
Yes.
called treating or tracking the recent requirements.
Yes.
So question is open.
Okay.
If
Because
there is efforts, interest to cooperate, let's cooperate.
yeah, as a user of Argos, for instance, I found it very challenging to report on some data sets, mostly when I have to manage the information about the researchers that create the data sets, which are not the responsibles for the DMP, and it was a bit confusing for me. And I am an expert, and I have expertise in this context. So going forward, I will consider Argos as a tool to support also the DMPs that we are doing at INESC-TEC, also to be in the EOSC ecosystem. But I found it a little bit challenging, as for now, at least.
Okay.
So since you mentioned actionable DMPs, I was wondering if you have any kind of feedback or
No, we don't have.
notions.
I would say we came to the very close demand to make machine actionable DMP and integrate in this scientific workflow.
Yes.
What we are, our main model, is only, I would say, since December. But research is made not quick. It's quite a slow process.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Okay. So more questions.
So
Yeah,
Nadia is making there in chat that she likes Data Steward Wizard.
I look at the Data Steward. Surely I look at this, but their tools is mostly for creating DMP in JSON format. So machine readability and machine actionability is different issues. So we are coming to the concept of machine actionable plan, having structure, and what is different between traditional data management plan, that it's not enough dynamic. It's built around FAIR concept. But if you include other regulations and other requirements into data management plan, for example, Data Act or whatever, European AI compliance data, so you need to add different other regulation and rules. So we are thinking about structuring data management, MA, DMP, in a format of functional components, regulations, processing, resources, data models, and so on.
I have one question for
Yes.
you. I was thinking that now we have an initial plan in CONVERGE, and I think that we will continue with that. But I was thinking if you are looking from the viewpoint of slices, should we have data management plans for the use cases?
I don't think we need to go to use cases, but if we go for, say, again, this is going to the some kind of flavor of MI machine actionable, we may think about that it will be adjusted to use cases. And this means adjustment data model, metadata profiles, resources, regulations, resources in sense of storage, in sense of tools, and so on. Is something quite, it should be integrated this arrow crate, research object concept. Question about metadata schema. Metadata schema that we defined in slices is generally based on on IOSC service and data schema. And we extended this additional levels of naming different components of experimental infrastructure. As a workable document is can work, but until we need to create as a whole life cycle on this like diagram. So this is one of the stage, I would say. This is responsible one of our partners. Maybe we will think about implementing some suggestions for metadata version control. So if metadata change in some place, that it can be trackable. And see if somebody implemented one profile metadata, and later version can be easily, say, upgraded or modified. Okay, so maybe some last questions. Because people are very strict by 4 o'clock.
I think that the main message here is that data needs to be well documented, and we have to consider documentation early on. And is there any final words for us from you for this session?
Okay, before documenting data at the beginning of the project or experiment, spend sufficient time to understand what you need document, how you can name and what metadata. So preparation before documenting is a big piece. We still didn't achieve this in the slices.
Okay. We have some initial understanding about our data. We have to dig deeper to understand who is delivering what on and what purposes and so forth. So we will continue our work on that. But from a research point of view, you have to consider these things very carefully.
Okay.
So thank you, Yuri, very much about this tutorial. It was excellent from the viewpoint that it makes us, every one of us, to think about the data management.